Hey, what's up and how you doing? This is Dan again from Cheap Living here in St. Pete, Florida, and it's time for me to make my Coq Au Vin video for you guys. Now, Coq Au Vin is a French, very old world French dish that is meant for peasant people, aka cheap living, people like us that need to live on a budget. It's very easy to make, however, it is very time consuming. But I tell you what, the finished result is actually super delicious. I mean, this is in fine dining French restaurants all across the U.S. and they charge a lot of money for it, but you can make it at home. This is my version of the dish. I do it a little bit differently, and I'm going to show you step by step, and I can assure you the end result is absolutely amazing. So here we go. Check this out. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a brine. The brine is for the chicken leg quarters. Mind you, very cheap. Chicken leg quarters are really cheap. They're like $6 a bag at Save a Lot. So anyway, I have my stovetop on about an 8. And this is an exact amount. I like to use exact amounts. In this pot, I guess you can say there's a little bit over a half a gallon of water. In this cup, there is 1 cup of kosher salt. You can use kosher salt, sea salt, and or Himalayan pink salt. Never ever use iodized salt. It's just the flavor is just not there, and it gets way too salty. And also 1 full cup of sugar. So I'm going to put that in the pot. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to measure out 1 cup of red wine. So there's 1 cup. One cup of red wine. Okay. Then I'm going to take some hold on 1 second. The coriander seed is not open. 2 full tablespoons heaping of coriander seed. Whoops, can't do that. So, coriander seed. I'm going to use my herb blend that I make. So you put about a tablespoon in there. And then we are going to add about a teaspoon of black pepper. I do not have peppercorns. I wish I did. My car's in the shop at the moment, so I'm not going to have it for a couple of days. So there you go, and we're going to mix that up. We're going to let it come to a simmer for probably about 2.5 minutes, and then we're going to cut it off and put it in the refrigerator to cool. You want to make sure it is 100% ice cold before you put it in the pan with your chicken leg quarters. We will be back when this is boiling, or at a slight simmer, as I should. So the brine is starting to steam a little bit, and it has not started simmering, so we're going to let it go just a little bit longer, just to get those flavors of all those herbs and coriander in there. And this brine is almost set. A cup of wine is definitely enough for 1 gallon of water. As you can see, it starts to turn dark. So we're going to let this go just for a little bit longer. And I'm going to pop it in the refrigerator to cool off. Okay, so that's exactly what you're looking for. So it's moving a little bit and it's simmering. You want to do that for 3 minutes. The reason for this is so that all the salt and sugar get completely dissolved, and also for all of those nice herbs to infuse with the liquid. Here are some leg quarters. There are 4 of them. I had a little bit more, but I had cooked them in the past. But these are from Food Pantry. I believe they were from We Help. And like I said, you do get a lot of chicken when you're doing the Food Pantry thing. And a lot of the times at We Help, they have big bags of chicken leg quarters that they do give you. So that's what we're going to be using for the Coq Au Vin. And then this is our brine after it's been cooled down nice and cold. And we're going to pour that brine right in here. The whole entire thing. Like I said, it was probably about, added up to maybe almost a gallon. So we're going to put that brine on there. And that red wine is going to actually turn our chicken kind of purple, which is really, really cool. But anyway, so we're going to put this lid on. And we're going to put this in the refrigerator for at least 24 hours, 48 hours preferably, but 24 hours is plenty of time. Okay, so like I said, I make my Coq Au Vin a little bit different. So we're using the same pot that the brine was in. No big deal. And we're going to put a little bit of oil in there. This is my olive oil and canola oil mix. And we're going to start off with these beef bones. Now, I'm making a brown stock. This is what I'm doing that's a little bit different than the norm on a regular Coq Au Vin. I have to use these beef bones up in something anyway, so I might as well use it. I got these, if you remember correctly, on one of my food runs. These are beef ribs. And you just want to put them in that oil. I have my oven, my stove top on about a 9. And I'll lower it down to about an 8 because I might get a little bit too hot. And we're just going to throw those bones right in there. And we're going to brown those bones up. Then right here, I have a mirepoix of celery, onions, and carrots. Now for this purpose of making a brown stock or brown sauce, you really do not need to peel the carrots. I just wash them really good with a green scrubby, and I mean, they taste just fine. They say that if you don't take the peel off, it makes it bitter. That goes for onions, yes. It does make it bitter. But for carrots, no, it does not. It still has the sweetness of that carrot. So I'll get back to you after these bones that I just put in the pot after they brown off a little bit. Alright, so now that these bones are really, really nicely and roasted and brown, I mean, look at that. That was fucking fantastic. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to kind of circle these bones around the outside of the oil like that, and that's a lot of the juices and fat and the oil that also came off of these bones. And then we're going to take our mirepoix, which is right here. Like I said, it's onions, celery, and carrots, and we're going to put it right in the dead center of those bones. Now, what we want to do is we want to cook down this mirepoix. We want to cook it down a lot. Again, it's going to get translucent and golden brown. I'm going to turn the heat up to about a 9. And we're going to keep our eye on this and keep stirring it. So, as you can see, I adjust the bones and put them all on the side like that. Now, this is what a chef friend of mine by the name of Marco Lupo and me, we named a mock demi or a proxy demi when we needed some kind of a brown sauce on the fly. And I can assure you this is super, super delicious. to make a real demi, you need to use veal bones, but to make a brown stock, any type of beef bone will do. So if you have any type of bones for your beef, please save them and put them in the freezer. Alright, so I'll show you what this looks like when all these vegetables cook down and we are ready for the next step. Alright, so now that these this mirepoix and beef bones has cooked down a little bit, as you can see, I'm trying to get it away from the steam. I'm going to add about, I would say that's a tablespoon of garlic. The reason why I didn't want to add that at the beginning is because I didn't want it to brown or burn. So I'm putting it towards the end of sauteing these vegetables down, so this way it doesn't burn. Then I'm going to cook this down a little bit more, and I'll show you what's up. Alright, so now that everything is coming together, now the next step, what we want to do is we want to fill this up with water. So there's some water, and you just pour it right in there, almost all the way to the top. You don't want them to go overflowing. Now what that did is that picked up all the juices and flavor off the bottom of this pot. Alright. And then we are going to season it. Alright, so I put a little bit of cracked black pepper in there already. You probably want about maybe a teaspoon of salt, if that, because you don't want to use a lot. And then, of course, my herb blend that I use. Like I said, if you don't remember what's in there from my previous videos, I'll let you know. But you're going to want a good amount of it, probably about a tablespoon. And what you want to do is you want to bring this to a simmer and stir this in, and I'll show you the next step. Alright, so now that the beef stock is coming to a little bit of a boil, with all those love and goodness herbs in there, and the beef bones, and that mirepoix, it smells so delicious. Now, this is stuff that you're probably never going to find at a regular supermarket, but I get this is at GFS, and this is a roasted beef base that is MSG free and salt free. This is a very, very good product. I've used this in the restaurant industry as well as at home, and yes, GFS does take food stamps. If you guys are ever interested in going there, it's on 4th Street. It's a great store if you know what you're shopping for. I go there for a very few items. However, beef base is one of them, chicken base, and a couple of other things. And I highly recommend having these products in your refrigerator. If your refrigerator is really nice and cold, it'll keep for a very, very long time. So I'm going to put in about 2 tablespoons of beef base. Now after that goes in there, you're going to want to stir it up really, really, really good. And your stock is going to start to get dark. Now what we want to do is, after we do that, you want to bring this to a really, really hard boil. As soon as it comes to a hard boil, you want to bring it to a slow, gently simmer. And after it comes to a simmer, when you turn it down, you want to leave it alone. And you want to let it reduce by at least half. So we're going to do that. We're going to bring this thing to a hard boil. And really hard boil. And then we're going to turn it down to a super light simmer. And we're going to reduce it by half. And I will show you exactly what to do next. So this is what your brown stock is going to look like. Dark, a little fatty. It'll have a little glisten on top, and you have all those vegetables in there. And what I already did was is I fished out all of the bones and the meat that was in there. So all that's left in there is the stock and the vegetables. So this here is a hand blender and or a burr mixer. I bought this for $6.99 off of Amazon probably about 6 months ago. Make sure if you do buy a hand blender, make sure this part of it, the bottom part, is metal. If it is a plastic one, please make sure that it is tempered plastic and heat resistant. I have melted quite a few of these, but you know what? For $6.99, I tell you what, this is one hell of a hand mixer. So, what I'm going to do is, put this up here. Hopefully you guys can still see that. Is I'm going to plug in this hand mixer. This has all these great herbs, the garlic, you know, all the veggies and everything, and I took out all the bones and the meat. I cheated earlier and I took the bones off of the meat, and I had a little bit with some rice, but yeah, so then what you want to do is you want to get your burger. You want to blend all of that together. Look at that. Now it is very nice and silky smooth, and the veggies act as a thickening agent, so it's going to thicken up, and as it cools off in the refrigerator, all of that fat and oil is going to float to the top. So this is going to go inside of a Tupperware. So let me get that ready. And before I put it in the Tupperware, we are going to use a strainer that you buy from the Dollar Tree. These things are freaking great, and you can't beat them for $1. The only thing I don't like about them is they slip every once in a while. So usually what I do is I press the handle up against the edge like that, and I want to strain this. Then you take a spoon, hold it by the handle, and you want to strain this through the strainer and get rid of all the really big chunks, if there are any. Oh, this seems like it's pretty smooth, so we can do that. And then you want to do it again. You want to make sure there's no big chunks, like bone or big chunks of vegetable or anything like that. No, it seems like this has it's turned out to be pretty smooth. So yeah, I think that we're going to be good to go. Look at this. And it smells so good, and it's going to be so rich. I can't wait to finally eat this this Coq Au Vin. It's going to taste so freaking good. But yeah, I think we're going to be all right here. Seems like it's really, really smooth. There's no big chunks of bone and meat or anything like that. So you're going to want to let this completely cool, and the glycerin and the fat is going to float to the top. We have the chicken in the brine in the refrigerator, and we're going to cool this off as well. See you in 24 hours. All right. So the chicken quarters, I say chicken thighs and legs, have been sitting in the brine for 24 hours. What we're going to do is we're going to empty this brine right in the sink. And it did. It dyed the chicken a little bit purple. What you want to do is you want to take this chicken, you want to rinse it off a little bit. Some of that salt off there, that brine off there. Rinse them off really, really good. Alright. And then after that, we want to take a paper towel, a couple of paper towels, and we want to pat this chicken dry. A little bit. We're going to give each one of these pieces oil. And again, I'm going to use my herb blend. Season up these pieces of chicken really, really good. I got a good coating on there. Coq Au Vin is going to be so delicious. I can't wait to show you the finished product. I know it's very, very time consuming, but it's worth it in the long run. It's so delicious. Alright, we're going to set that aside. Alright, so I have this pot on the stove. It's been sitting here for about 5 minutes. I have it on my rear burner, which is a bigger burner, and I have it on about a 5. So our next step that we're going to do is we're going to render off some bacon. Now, unfortunately, like I said, I don't have my car to go to the butcher, but I did have some regular hickory smoked bacon that I had in my refrigerator left over from one of the food pantry runs, and I'm going to be using that. And we want to keep our eye on it, and we want to render the bacon down. So I will get back to you as soon as this bacon is rendered down a little bit. Alright, now we have this lovely bacon fat after I have rendered down the bacon and I have separated it from the bacon grease. So you want to leave that bacon grease in there, and you want to get your pan hot again. Because what we're going to do is we're going to sear off these chicken legs quarters. So, pot's not too big, so we're going to sear them off one by one, and then I will show you the next step. I am searing off both sides of the chicken in the bacon grease, and it's also releasing oil from the chicken. God, that looks so delicious. And it's not even halfway done yet. It looks so good. Alright, so for our next step, we want to discard all that oil. Alright? We want to discard that and get rid of it. That's a lot of burnt stuff. However, on the bottom of that pan, that's all flavor. So, in this same pan, after we got rid of all that oil, we're going to add some onions. Now, unfortunately, right before I dropped my car off at the shop last Wednesday, I looked all over the place. I went to Publix, Walmart, Aldi, and I could not find any pearl onions, large pearl onions. So therefore, I am using regular onions. These are white Spanish onions and or white sweet onions, and I cut them in very, very large chunks. Now, as these onions cook down, they're going to start to sweat, and they're going to bring all that flavor off the bottom of this pot. So I'll be back when these onions are nice and sauteed down and show you the next step. I wish I had a little bit more carrots for this, but now we're going to add some carrots and still let it cook down a little bit more. Now we're going to add about 1 tablespoon of garlic. Some people use whole garlic cloves in their Coq Au Vin. I prefer to use chopped garlic. Okay, so next we're going to be adding some red wine. This is called Winking Owl. You can buy this at Aldi. This is some Winking Owl Cabernet, and this is $2.99 a bottle. We had already used 1 cup in the brine, and we are going to use the rest and pour it right in this pot. This is some very, very good wine for cooking and or drinking. It is actually very tasty. Anyway, so let's add this wine. Now that these vegetables are cooked down with the garlic in there, we're going to deglaze the pan, and we're going to add all this wine. Every drop out of that bottle. Look at that. That looks so delicious so far. This is going to be so good. I love the smell of that wine. Winking Owl from Aldi. $2.99 a bottle. It's awesome. It tastes so good. So right after we do that, we are going to bring this wine to a simmer, and then we're going to add that brown sauce that we made. Alright, so I let it come to a simmer, and then I brought some of that flavor up from the bottom of the pot and gave it a mix with my tongs. And then this is that nice silky smooth brown sauce that we made, and we're going to put that right in there. Like I said, I do my Coq Au Vin a little bit different than other people. Mine is not traditional, but sometimes it's good to break tradition. And then you want to just give this a mix. Look at that. Look at the way that comes together. Oh my God, that's going to be so friggin' good. I'm going to bring that to a slight simmer, and then I'm going to taste it to see if it needs anything. So I added the red wine, the brown stock, and then I had some mushrooms that I roasted off in the oven with a little bit of pepper, and I cut them in half and dried them out a little bit. And now we're adding our chicken quarters, our chicken leg quarters, to this super awesome. Tastes so good, so winey. And then I'm going to bring this to a slight simmer, slowly, so the bottom of it does not burn. And then I'm going to pop this in the oven for about an hour and a half at 350 degrees, maybe 2 hours. And then our dish will be ready. Look at that, though. That looks just so delicious. I tasted it. You can taste the red wine and the brown sauce. Taste really, really good together. This is going to be so delicious by the time it's done. So let me see you guys for the final steps of this dish. Alright, so now we are going to make some roasted potatoes. So this is what I like to do. This is my olive oil and canola oil mix. I'm going to put a little bit of that in there. I'm going to put some garlic powder. And then I'm going to put some more of my herb blend. Now, if you don't remember what's in my herb blend, I will cover it in another video if you like. There's my herb blend. I'll put a decent amount in there. And then you want to do a little bit of kosher salt. And then you want to give these a toss in your bowl. Maybe even, you know what I'm going to do? I want these things good and coated. I'm going to put on a glove. And I'm going to give them a really good mix. There you go. You know what? I don't think there's enough herbs in there. So, I'm going to do a little more. More herbs. Definitely plenty of oil. Not enough herbs. Now, if I had fresh herbs, of course, it'd be much, much better. But like I said, my car's been in the shop, so I'm using dry. Plus, we're trying to keep this at a low cost, low budget. Alright, so these are good and coated. These are going to be nice and flavorful. And from that point, you want to take them and you want to put them in a foil pan. Make sure they're evenly arranged around. I am using my toaster oven because it's Florida and it's hot. It's the middle of the summertime and I don't want to overheat my apartment. That's why this tray is so smaller. I would actually like to put this on a larger tray. And I'm going to put this in my toaster oven at about 375, 400. And I'm probably going to cook it for about a half an hour. And then I'm going to mash the potatoes a little bit. And then I'm going to put them back in the oven to crisp them up with some Parmesan cheese. Alright, are you guys ready for some more food porn? Check out this super awesome French Coq Au Vin. Done a little bit differently. Really hope you guys enjoy. First, let me give it some of that. A little bit more sauce. Look at that Coq Au Vin. Doesn't that look super delicious? Bacon, carrots, onions, mushrooms, roasted potatoes. That's my version of Coq Au Vin. I really, really hope you enjoy the video. I really hope you enjoy the content I bring you. If you have any questions, let me know. Leave a comment, subscribe to my channel. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.